Good day, my senior students. As usual, I'm your nursing research guide. If you like, you call it research method too. Today, we are going to look at research problem. What is a problem? A problem is any situation where gap exists between the actual and the desired state. Any situation where a gap exists between the actual and the desired state. Okay, this is the present state, but you are not happy, you met it at this state, and you want it higher, then you can call that a problem. Meaning there is a gap that exists between what you want and the present state. A problem does not necessarily mean that something is seriously wrong. No. For you to know, yes, there is a gap, that does not mean that there is a problem with the existing literature. It could simply indicate an interest in improving an existing situation. It's possible you just have an interest. The way the traditional way of doing things, you want to improve on it. You are not happy the way it is presently and you want to improve on it. So that can easily be a problem. A problem definition can include both the existing problem in the current situation as well as the guess for idealistic state in future. Okay, you want it to be changed, you want it in future to be done in a different manner. For example, the conventional way of doing lectures, you want to do it online, just like we are doing in post basic. It's a gap, and somebody tried to fill that gap by bringing this idea. Where can we get a research problem? We can get a research problem. Students first sometimes face difficulties to get a research problem, though they are standing on a lot of problem. Problem exists in so many angles, but because we don't know, it's very difficult for us to know that yes, problem exists that we can easily bring idea to solve. It is not due to absence of research problem, rather it's due to difficulty of identifying research problems. For us to identify, okay, this is a problem, I think is the major problem we are facing when it comes to getting a research problem. We can get research problem in different ways from different sources. The first one is from careful environmental observation and from our day-to-day activities. From careful environmental observation, you can observe from your environment. So many problems exist, persist, that you can solve. But because we don't know that such problem exists within our environment, or because of maybe skepticism, we're afraid to mention such problem. From reading textbooks, from reading journals, from reading manuscript, you can also get a research problem. Once you pick a journal or a paper, you go through, you discover that there is a gap that author did not fill. Then you can come in to fill the existing gap. Then from the social or political and economic changes. Yes, every day things keep on changing socially, politically, and economically. So from this factor, you can also get a research problem. From personal interest, yes, it's possible that yes, the way they are administering drugs to patients, maybe that is not how you want it. You can bring in a new idea so that you can fill in that vacuum. That is also a problem. Also from scarcity of information. At times, information are scarce. So you can go extra mile to get information so that you know the gap that exists in knowledge. What are the expected questions for research problem? When you can answer the following question, you are ready to conduct a research that will lead to a paper. Because no matter how good your work is, if it is not published, it's considered zero. Because it's only by publishing your work that your work will be visible, will be made public, and people will criticize and contribute to make it better. The first one is, what problem do you want to solve? What is the problem you want to solve? The second one is, who care about this problem and why? Who are the audience? Who are the interested party in this problem you want to solve? The third one is, what have others done to solve this problem and why is that inadequate? What have others done and why do you think it's inadequate? So you have to provide solution. What is your proposed solution to this problem? You must have a solution for you to undergo a research. If you don't have a solution to that, that is, we call it expected result, then who will care if you succeed? If you succeed, at least some parties should be should care about it, so that they will come in, buy this information for implementation. How long will it take? How long will it take you to solve the identified problem? How can you demonstrate that this is a good solution? How you must prove beyond reasonable doubt that yes, this your solution is the best solution. So these are the expected question that you must answer for you to venture into research. The first one is, what problem do you want to solve? Who cares about this problem and why? What have others done to solve this problem and why is it inadequate? What is your proposed solution to this problem? What is the new way about your approach? Who will care if you succeed? How long will it take? How can you demonstrate that this is good solution? For example, now we want to look at some problem to know whether they are researchable or they are not. Problem situation, that's the first one. In this district Y, a report showed that in the first month there were about 500 children under 1 year old who started immunization. But at the end of the year, it was found out that there were only 25 children who completed their vaccination. So now we'll look at the problem critically and see whether it's researchable. The problem is, in a particular district named Y, a report showed that in the first month there were about 500 children under 1 year old who started immunization. But at the end of that immunization, or at the end of the year, only 25 children completed that vaccination. You know, vaccination is of stages. So you can start, but completing it is the major thing. Don't skip any immunization or vaccination. So 100 started, about 500 started, but only 25 completed the vaccination. So discrepancy. All the 500 children at the district Y should have completed their vaccination, but only 5% out of those who started vaccination have completed. So only 5% of the 500 completed their vaccination. Then problem. Now research question. Why only 5% of the children completed their vaccination? Why? So now the definite question. Out of one hospital, 2 health centers and 10 health stations found in the district Y, only 2 health stations were functioning. So out of all the 10 hospitals and health stations, only 2 health stations were functioning. The rest were closed due to insecurity in the area. So now the question, does this need a research? This type of problem, does it need a research? The answer is, in the above example, assuming that all the given information is true, there is no need to undertake a research, since definite answer is obtained from the problem. Because of insecurity, that is why about 95% of the health centers closed down. There is nothing that can be done. Had it been there is no insecurity, all of them will be there and they will administer vaccination to the 500 children. So this is a definite question, and because of the definite answer we obtain to the problem, the question does not need any research. We'll look at second example. Problem situation. In a district Z, a population of about 100,000, there are 2 health centers, 1 hospital and 15 health stations, and all of them function smoothly. However, at the end of the year, it was found that the EPI coverage was only 25%. EPI means expanded immunization program. The coverage was about 25%. So now we go to discrepancy. So in a population of 100,000, there are 2 health centers, 1 hospital and 25 health stations, and all of them function smoothly. However, at the end of the year, it was found out that the expanded polio, the expanded polio problem, coverage was only 25%. The expanded polio immunization was only 25%. That's the meaning of EPI, expanded polio immunization. So the discrepancy is that although District Z had 100% availability of health services and at least 80% of the children should have had full vaccination, the expanded polio immunization coverage was only 25% as seen above. Why? So the problem, the statement of the problem now is, what factor influenced the low EPI coverage in District Z? Possible answers. Mothers might have problem for not attending the EPI sessions. The MCH, EPI, OPD, ETC program might not have been integrated. Hence, children might have missed opportunities in getting immunization. What is MCH? MCH means corpuscular hemoglobin. If you so wish, you call it main cell hemoglobin. And the EPI, as I earlier mentioned, is expanded polio immunization. And OPD means outpatient department. So because all these have not been integrated in this program, so there is gap. So the follow-up of defaulting children might not be effective and other reasons. Thus, the above problem situation is researchable. You can go into this problem and make your research to know that yes, in a population of 100,000 pupils or population, 2 health centers, 1 hospital, and 15 health stations, only 25% were able to get vaccination. Why? Because, and in real sense, about 80% supposed to have been vaccinated. Then you will now go into research to know what is it that the MCH, that is the main corpuscular hemoglobin or the main cell hemoglobin, are not integrated in this program. Then the expanded polio immunization is not also captured, or the outpatient department, they are not also integrated into this program. Then you can go into know why are these key important departments not integrated into this problem, and hence you get your result, you get your research output. Then what are the criteria for prioritizing problem of research? Each problem that is proposed for research has to be judged according to certain guidelines or criteria. There may be several ideas to choose from. Before deciding on research topic, each proposed topic must be compared with all other options. So in this regard, there are 7 criteria for selection of a research problem. The first one is relevance. Is the topic relevance? Number 2 is avoidance of duplication. 3 is feasibility. 4 is political acceptability. 5 is applicability of possible result and recommendation. The 6th one is urgency of data needed. And 7 is ethical acceptability. So we'll take our time and explain this one after the other. We are talking about 7 criteria for selection of research problem. The first one is relevance. Relevance. You must ensure that the topic you choose should be a priority problem. It must be a priority problem. It must be a problem that is alarming, that is disturbing to the community. You can't just bring, that is why it must be relevant. You can't just bring a topic that nobody cares about, that is not affecting the populace, and you say you want to make research. It's not possible. Then how large or widespread is this problem? You also have to consider under relevance, how widespread is this problem? Who is affected? Who are those affected? What is the percentage of the number of people affected? If it is very minimal, then you don't need to go into research. So these are some of the factors. And the last one is how severe is the problem? So this form part of your relevance. The first thing under relevance is the topic should be a priority problem. Then who are those affected? How severe is the problem? How the spread of the problem you want to go into. Then the second one is avoidance of duplication. Find out whether the suggested topic has been investigated before or not. you must ensure that this problem has not been investigated. If it is investigated, you don't need to go into research. You don't need to go into it because there is nothing special that will come out of it, because somebody must have released his findings known to the community or to the public. But in doing this, you have to also look at either within the proposed study or area or in another area with similar conditions. Then again, the third one is feasibility. Consider the complexity of the problem and the resources you will require to carry out the study. You have to look at how complex is this problem, and do you have the resources to venture into that research? If you don't have the resources, you don't need to start the problem, because at the end you start and abandon it. Then the fourth one is political acceptability. Political acceptability. It is advisable to researchers a topic that has the interest and support of the authorities. This will facilitate the smooth conduct of the research and increases the chance that the result of the study will be implemented. You have to ensure that those at the helm of the authority are interested in your research. Once you do not carry them along, at the end you finish your research, you make your findings known, but it will be done somewhere. But once you carry them along, they will ensure that after the research, it will be implemented. Then the fifth one is applicability of the possible result and recommendation. So in this regard, we'll look at if it's likely that recommendation from this will be applied. Is it that this will depend not only on the blessing of the authorities, but also on the availability of resources for implementation of the recommendation? You can't go into research that you know require huge resources, because resources are scarce. So for you to start a research, you must ensure that after your work, your result and recommendation, you ensure that with meager amount, with little resources, it will be implemented. Then the sixth one is urgency of data needed. Urgency, how urgent are the results needed for making decision? Consider which research should be done first and which can be done later. For you to know that there are some data that are overwhelming, that are too bogus, that are too difficult to get. So you don't need to venture into such research, depending on the urgency of the problem you are trying to solve. You must ensure that the problem you want to solve you can easily get the data within the shortest possible, so that you conclude your research, not the one that will take a longer time. Then the last one is ethical acceptability. Ethical acceptability is we should always consider the possibility that we may inflict harm on others while carrying out such research. Therefore, it will be useful to review the proposed study. If you know you are going to inflict harm on some other people, why venture into it? So you have to critically look at your topic before you go into it, so that you don't harm anybody. How do you select a topic? Topic or title writing. The research topic or title should be specific and clear. Yes, your topic, in selecting your topic, you must be very careful. You must make it specific, to know that it's targeting a particular problem. The topic should indicate what, who, where, and when. What do you want to achieve? Who are the target audience? Where is the location of the study? And when is the study going to be conducted? So these 4 items must be in a topic for the topic to be a good topic. Then the title clearly identifies the study and may contain a brief description of the study design and objective. You must design your study, how you go about it. If you like, you call it a time plan. If you like, you call it design of the study. If you like, you call them, and it must also have objective. You must have a specific objective that you want to achieve through that topic. Then the topic should tell readers what your study is about and where it will be done. So, meaning, for example, you must state the problem you want to solve, and you must also state the location in which that study is to be taken. Then we now go into title formulation. In this, I try as much as possible to show which title is good and which one is not good. We call it title formulation tips. These are just a tips in how you select your title. Number one is title should. So your title is expected to describe something like this. Describe content clearly and precisely. It must be content, describe the content clearly and precisely so that readers can indicate whether to read the report or not. Once your title is not enticing, nobody will be interested in your topic. Then title should not, what your title should not have include wasted words such as study on, an investigation of, assessment of. These are not good titles. When you say an investigation of, assessment of, studies on, these are not good title. Use abbreviation. Don't use in title that is not good. Don't use abbreviation and jargons. When you use abbreviation in title, it's clearly indicating that you don't know what you are doing, and it's not going to be a good topic. So, how a good title should be. For example, prevalence of stunting among under 5 children in Nigeria in 2020. So you are trying to study the prevalence of stunting among under 5 children in Nigeria, or maybe in Niger State in 2020. If the data is available, you can go. You look at prevalence of stunting among, what is stunting? We are medical personnel. We all know what stunting is. Prevalence of stunting among under 5 children in Nigeria in year 2020 or year 2024. Then a poor title, an investigation of hormone secretion and weight in rats. An investigation of hormone in teaching hospital. An investigation of hormone secretion and weight lost in rats in a particular teaching hospital in northeastern Nigeria. So that is a poor topic because you have nothing to do with secretion and weight loss in rats, because nobody will be interested. But if you want to look at, because you are talking about human being in the other good topic, you say prevalence of stunting among under 5 children in Nigeria. But this one, you say an investigation of hormone secretion and weight loss in rat in a particular teaching hospital in northwest Nigeria. And another bad topic is assessment of prevalence and associated factor of virological failure. Virological failure, where? In which, slide 9, in which place, in which country, in which state. So you must be able to state all these things to make your topic very unique and attractive. Example of a good topic: prevalence and associated factor of virological failure among children with HIV, HIV patient at a particular hospital, northeastern Ethiopia in 2020. You see, you try to mention the problem: prevalence and associated factors of virological failure among children with HIV at a particular hospital, northwest in a particular state in the year 2020. And another good topic: prevalence and associated factor of neonatal sepsis among neonates at Amhara region referral hospital, northwestern Ethiopia, 2024. These are to tell you that the topic is clearly stated, the problem you are trying to solve is clearly stated, then the country or the state or the location and the year in which you want to solve the problem. These are a good example. Then we go to justification. If you want to carry out a research, you must have a justification. You must give reason why you want to venture into such studies. It is also called the significance of the study. It is also called the purpose of the study and rationale of the study. Why your research is needed. That is just what justification is all about. That is the essence of justification. E.g., orders not large enough, different population, different intervention, no study done before. These are the reasons you should justify. Others not large enough. Yes, a research was conducted, but it was not large enough to justify the study. Different population. Okay, somebody has done it in Mina, you want to do it in Kwantagora, or you want to do it in Bida. Yes, it's the same problem, but in different location. Very possible. In different intervention. You want to maybe malaria consortium is coming with its own research. Maybe UNICEF or World Health Organization is coming. Different intervention is also possible. No study has done before. At all, there is no study that has been done. These are reasons you should justify why the study. A statement indicating the size of the problem and effects on the health service and why the study is appropriate. This is what is called a statement justification of the problem. Justification can be significant, can be purpose, can be rationale of the study. Explain what the potential benefits are to patient and the health service. Explain what your study will add to the body of evidence already available. Yes, there is evidence that research has been conducted, but maybe because of the coverage, maybe because of a different intervention, different approach, different methodology. All these are reasons in which you should justify why the study. Then we now go to literature review. Like I mentioned in our last lecture, I mentioned that you have to review some literatures. You must read some textbooks, some journals, some monographs, several things. Literature can be printed information about particular something. Yes, it must be printed, even if it is soft copy, but it must be printed. That is why it's literature. You take your time and study it. You review, consider. If you want to review, you have to consider it carefully to know the gap in that knowledge. Starting point to refine statement of the problem. That is the starting point. You have to refine or redefine the statement of the problem. Maybe somebody has conducted a research using a particular statement. You have to look at that statement of problem for you to modify it to give you a wider perspective. Part of the introduction of the research, you have to look at part of the introduction, because in introduction, we call it background of the study. You must give a background that will be enticing, that will attract the minds of readers. Review of the literature, classification and valuation of what have been written, organized according to guiding concept. You must organize it according to a guide. If you are a student, there is a way in which a research or a project is to be written. You don't just go into research and say you want to do it the way you want. It's not done like that. Continuation of literature review. This section must be based on peer-reviewed journals or other published material that are accessible in public domain. These literature reviews are accessible. They are not something hidden. They must be for public consumption. Use non-published material in the statement of problem, introduction, if necessary, but not in the literature review section. You must ensure that that work is published. If it is not published, you cannot use it. But you can use the unpublished or non-published material in a statement of problem or in your introduction. But as far as literature review, it must be a published material for you to review and make your findings known. Group findings from several studies according to common term rather than discussing individual paper. It's better you group your findings from several studies instead of you to say, okay, Jamilu et al. Or Jamil 2000 utilizes this or this. No, you group your findings. You discuss it. Terms could be qualitative versus quantitative approach. Like I discussed in my last lecture, I discussed qualitative and quantitative approach. Magnitude of the problem, risk factors, effectiveness of the intervention, etc. Then the last one is provide strong umbrella sentences at the beginning of each paragraph. You must provide a strong sentence that will be captivating, that will captivate the mind of a reader. Once the reader is reading, he will know, yes, this particular researcher knows what he or she is doing. Then it must be signpost. You can use some sign to indicate, to show that, yes, these are things you want to achieve. And you must be brief. You don't make your literature review very long. It will be boring. So that summary sentences at intermediary point in the review. Why the use of literature review? What is the reason for literature review? Is the most important aspect is to prevent duplication. It increase your knowledge and help to redefine statement of the problem. It increases because you are reading somebody's work. From there, it will give you a wider perspective why you should do it better, why it should be this way. That is the essence, and it will protect duplicating so that you know that yes, somebody has done work in that area. It also become more familiar with the various type of method. It will allow you to be familiar with the method being used. It provides a framework for establishing the importance of the study. This, once you are going through some literatures, it will give you a framework to allow you to establish a framework for the importance of the study. It serves as a benchmark for comparison of the result with other findings. After your literature review, you will now be able to say, Stephen et al. In year 2023 ascertained that this is this, while in my own I was able to get it that this is that, so that you show the distinction, a clear distinction between different research. Again, another reason is it describes the characteristics of previous studies. It will give you a characteristics, a different parameters, a properties of previous study, where, when, who conducts, findings and conclusion. Comment on strength. You are to comment on the strength, limitations of study and findings. You have to ensure that identify the gap in knowledge. From the reviewed literature, you should be able to know that this is where gap exists, and in doing that, you must comment on the strength of that reviewer, and in concluding your work, you have to show the strength, the limitation of the studies and findings. In slide 15, we'll look at resources. How do we go into literature review? We look at library. If you go to library or libraries, the first thing is published information. What are published information? These are books, journals. Anything that is published that you can see is a published information. Then there is the one we get from the internet or from the websites. These are the ones we normally get, http://www. These are online material, and they are allowed in research. But the most important thing in research is for you to acknowledge the source. You can't just copy somebody's information or review somebody's work without citing that person in your text. Then you must reference it as well after your work. There are different databases, online databases. There is Henary, Algora, Science Direct, different sources. But to mention to you that Google is not a good search engine, because anybody can go there and pour in his information. So they are how do I call, authorized or subscribes online databases in which one will have to pay. And if you go to universities or polytechnic or colleges of education or school of health technology, you discover that they subscribe to such annually, and they pay a token so that they can access some of these online resources. How to write a review of literature? Take a research problem, find a focus, organize yourself, decide the order of issues to discuss. You have to identify how do you want to go about it. Write coherent discussion in your own words. You don't need to copy word to word from anywhere you are copying. You must change the language. If not, there is what we call plagiarism. There is a turn it in software that will catch up with you, that will know, yes, that you have copied this from somebody's work. So you have to sit down, look at the words a particular person used, then use your own understanding and write them in a different way. Be critical to avoid possible bias. Don't be biased. In research, you don't necessarily need to be biased. You have to be objective. Well cutted. You have to cut. Anybody you want to cut, you have to cut it very well. Write study design and area and sample size. You must have a sample size sometimes, not in all the cases, but you must have a study design. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.